as well as, hey, what's up, everybody? We just hit the live button. We are live here at YouTube. This, That, and the Other radio show, Dirty Radio Dead FM, Channel 2, Dirty Radio Classic. And we're going to bring in Lorraine very shortly. I'm going to show you my mug, and then things are going to get much better when we bring her in. Hey, what's happening? It's me here. Look at that do. I just turned 52 the other day. Unbelievable. And, well, hey, let's bring Lorraine in because why not, right? I mean, it's the right thing to do. This, That, and the Other radio show on a special edition here live from 6 to 9. In order to have Lorraine on, as far as I know, she hasn't done any interviews, and this will be the first one. And I'm a huge fan going way, way back from the Femme Fatale days. I used to watch her on the MTV, and we, we've had some run-ins, and we're going to get into some stuff. She's like way into movies and TV shows and all sorts of good stuff. So let's we're bringing her on. Get the headliner on. Shut up, Troy. And let's see if she's there. Hey, Lorraine, are you there?
Hey.
Do we have your microphone? Do we have you? So I think you're muted because I don't hear you. So let's bring this down here. And
that's ridiculous.
I mean, she looks great. We can just look at you. Yeah, but I don't hear you. But you do have a glass of wine, and you have a great background, and I don't know why we do not hear you.
Oh, that's so weird. I thought that I had done a test.
You know what? What if I boot you from the room and then we bring you back? Because I don't want. I'm not going to ban you.
I just got a text message.
Yeah, everything's good here, Lorraine. On my end, I just do not hear you.
I just thought.
And I don't know why we're not hearing you. Hang on one second. Let me make sure I don't have. Hang on. Lorraine, do we have you now?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That was on my end. I'm sorry. I don't know.
You know what's so funny? What's so funny is that my assistant, Bryn, is watching, and she messaged me, and she's like, I can hear you.
She could hear you. That's weird. I couldn't hear me. You know what happened was I had the tab muted because when people come in and out, it was beeping, and I'm still broadcasting on the radio. So I'm a one-man show here, and I appreciate the patience. I love that you were like, hey, let's go do this on the live, and we're also simulcasting here at Dirty Radio Classic. So every once in a while, I might interrupt and say, hey, our guest today, right now on the air is Lorraine Lewis. Lorraine, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It is so great to see you. You look fabulous. 52, you're just a babe. You're still a babe and a baby. Like, don't even trip, but you look gorgeous as always. Every time I've ever seen you, you've always been really cool to me and really good looking and all of the above. So it's great to see you again. Cheers.
I appreciate it. I should just end the interview right there. I mean, that's, there's the soundbite. I appreciate you coming on the show. I hit you up about a month ago when the news came out that you left Vixen. We're going to get into all that, but I want to talk about a couple of the times that we ran into together because you, the ex-wives of rock, you had a part of that. And for some reason, when I was reading all that stuff, and I know that you have a casting page at Facebook, I don't think I realized how into the TV end of things are, as well as being like a co-creator of Ex-Wives of Rock, which I happen to be a part of in one episode. I was in it with Ricky Rocket and Athena, and we were doing like a Rocket Drumworks thing. But tell me about the whole TV thing, because it's kind of off my radar.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you don't really know, but I mean, a lot of people don't know, I guess. But I mean, I am a senior casting director at a company called Renegade 83 Productions. A lot of people might know the company because we've had a lot of hit shows. One of our biggest shows is a survival show called Naked and Afraid on Discovery.
Oh, wow.
It's one of our biggest shows. I've been with the company. I'm almost been with the company for 9 years now. I've been with them for a very long time, but when I was with you with Ex-Wives of Rock, that was back in like 2013. And I was a co-creator of Ex-Wives of Rock and an executive producer, which got my love and feel for the TV world. I mean, I loved working on that show. I loved creating it. I loved everything about it. Hanging out with your friends and getting a paycheck is like nothing else I've ever done before. So being in TV was just a natural thing for me. Doing that show was just so effing cool. 54 episodes, 3 seasons. It was very, very cool. And then after that, I really thought that we were going to get a season 4. and we didn't. And during that time, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what I was going to do next for my bread and butter. And I applied at Starbucks. I have no problem admitting that. They wanted to hire me, and I was going to start making $10 an hour as a barista, which I had done before I even got the record deal many, many years ago. And so I was willing to work at Starbucks. But what ended up happening is that the company that I work for now, I went in for an interview, and they really liked me, everything that I brought to the table. They said that they wanted to hire me, but they didn't have any budget. And so I said, I will work for you for free. Just let me come in. You do not have to pay me. Let me show you what I do. This was after Ex-Wives of Rock. I was very confident that I'm good at what I do. And I just said, let me come in. I'll work for you for free for this next show that you're going to cast. They called me the next day and they said, we found budget for you. They started me at $10 an hour.
Wow.
I was making, my paycheck was $340 a week. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was happy as all hell to be there. It did not matter to me. I had my foot in the door. The first show that I worked on was a show called Sober Coaches, and I killed it. Like I know I killed it. There were girls that had been working at the company for a few years, and I know that I outcast them. What can I say? I even got Courtney Stodden on the show. I don't know if you know who she is,
Yeah,
but
of course.
she's actually one of my best friends, and she actually just got engaged recently, and she's she's got set up so good because she's acting now, which is exactly what she should be doing. She's engaged to a really great guy. He's an Emmy winning director. I mean, she is just doing great. Anyway, long story short, they hired me. I killed it. At the end of the 5-week run, it was a Friday. I'll never forget it. And I was loading up my laptop, putting it away, and everybody was kind of leaving. And I was like thinking, what happens next? Like, is this totally it? Like, that's it. I killed it. And like, we're done. And my boss basically waited until everybody had left. And then it was just me and her. Her name was Lowell. And she looked at me and she said, Peter Higgins, he's the VP of talent. She said, Peter wants to know what you're doing next week. And can you come back? And I said, yes, of course I can come back. And I've been there ever since. So taking that job, willing to work for nothing, and then taking the job for $10 an hour. I've been there for 8 years and I love what I do. I mean, I've had the best life. Being able to rock and roll on stage and being able to work in television, it's just the best life that I could ever imagine. I love my life. It's great.
And that's amazing. And that's great to hear because, in this day and age, there's a lot of people that are in situations they're not super happy with, but they do it, they grind, and they do what they need to do for themselves and their family. But it's a gift to find something that you totally enjoy because you're going to kick ass at it and you're going to bring a lot more to the table. And that's super awesome. I totally dig that. If you had to, there's a Sophie's Choice and you run into where you've got,
I hate that movie.
I know. So doesn't somebody go into the water or something? I don't know. But it's the music career, which, it seems like you found a way to balance it because, the days of, especially being in a band like Vixen, and, you're doing the Femme Fatale, it's, you're not in a van driving around for 150 days, but you're doing the weekend warrior stuff. But if you had to make a choice where you ran into a job where you couldn't dive out for those weekends, are you more a musician or are you more into the TV stuff? I mean, if you got to make a decision.
Sophie's Choice, rock and roll all the way, baby.
You are right. I love that. Look at that. As much as you talked about, the TV stuff, you're still a rock and roller.
No doubt. I'm rock and roll through and through. It's what I do. I was born to rock. I was born to rev up a crowd. I mean, what I do in television, honestly, Troy, is not that much different from what I do on stage. I interview people. I get them to come out of their shell and be themselves and get them to say crazy shit that they wouldn't normally say. That's what I do in rock and roll. I get people to feel comfortable. I get people to be a part of what's going on. I get them to come out and scream and yell and jump on things and throw their fists in the air. That's my job. That's what I do. That's what I do best. I'm there to rock the crowd.
That's awesome. The ex-wives of rock obviously featured a lot of people that were friends of yours, right? Being ex-wives of these rock stars. What was that like? I guess the first part is, were you friends with them before and then during the process? And how do you separate that friendship from what you need to have delivered on a TV show? Because, in this day and age, drama sells, and being a rock and roller, being the husband of a rock star or the wife of a rock star, there's a lot of drama around there. And so they're friends of yours, but you need them to deliver the content. What's it like balancing the friendship and the TV show?
It was very interesting. So to answer your great questions, by the way, really great. No one's ever
They
asked me
get,
this.
don't worry,
Yeah.
they get worse from here.
I'm sure. But interestingly, so I knew of Bobby Brown, of course, the cherry pie girl. I mean, she basically stole my outfit from Falling In and Out of Love in that cherry pie video. I mean, seriously, do your homework. Go to Google and see which video came out first. It was Femme Fatale Falling In and Out of Love, and I was wearing the red top and the short cut off jeans and the whole thing. But it's okay. I love Bobby, but whoever their wardrobe person was for that video, they definitely saw Falling In and Out of Love for sure, hands down. And I've never said that in an interview before, but I'm calling it out. I don't care.
Excellent.
I mean, anyway, so basically, what happened was, I had this concept with my partner at the time, Lisa Brucker, and we wanted to do this reality show. And I knew of Bobby Brown. Of course, I knew that Vince Neil and Charisse Neal had been a couple. I knew who Athena was, but I didn't know them very well. I mean, I knew Athena because she was going to play drums on a song with me in my band, Ellie Nookie. So I knew her on that level, but I didn't really know her. So everything started with what we called champagne brunch, like mimosa brunches. And we started with Bobby. Bobby was the first brunch that we did, and we met her and started talking to her and thought that she was the perfect person to start with. And then it was like, who do you know? Who else could we get in? And then she's mentioned Charisse as one of her best friends. And then it was Blue Dixon that was also married to Jerry Dixon from Warrant. And it just all started making sense. Originally, it was going to be Brandy Brandt was going to be our fourth wife. And not a lot of people know
All
this,
right.
but I'm gonna say it because it's
Spill
all
the
you can
tea.
Google. You can Google it, and it's all common knowledge. And I'm just gonna say it. So basically, we had a meeting set up with Marty Callner. I don't know if you know that name. Marty is a very famous videographer, famous for the White Snake video with Tawny Katane rolling on the Jaguar. Marty's a really good friend of mine even to this day. He's the first person that I went to with the idea, and he got on board. And so he was going to be the director of this whole crazy chicks thing. He actually wanted to call it Cuckoo Birds, to be honest with you. So we started working with him, and we had a meeting set this one particular Friday. Everybody showed up. This is before Athena was even in. It was Brandy was supposed to be there, Charisse, Bobby, and Blue. Brandy didn't show up. Nobody knew where Brandy was. We were calling her phone, had no idea where she was. I was freaking out because I'm thinking, I can't keep Marty waiting and this sucks, kind of a thing. And I was really nervous. And then we found out later that that was the day that she had gotten arrested. And I don't know if you know that story, but she got arrested with a boyfriend for some crazy stuff with the airlines. So it meant that she wasn't going to be a part of it. I mean, she went to prison as far as I know.
Wow.
And so it was done with Brandy. And so later it turned into being Athena. And it was kind of the perfect mix because we had three, like, OGs, right, if you will.
Sure.
Three OGs that had been through it, done it, and they were divorced from their exes, their ex rock stars. And Athena was just going through it with James Kochak.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like they were like her sisters, kind of guiding her through it. And it was the perfect cast, the perfect mix. You asked the question, how was it to balance it all? It was challenging for sure. Very challenging. I remember when when Charisse broke up with her boyfriend at the time, I don't even remember his name, and I'm not even going to say it because she'd probably like it that I don't say it. But when she broke up with him, she called me as a friend. I mean, I'm really close with Charisse. As a matter of fact, I mean, I was just at the gym with her yesterday. We both live in Palm Springs. So we're like this. Charisse and I are very, very close. And she called me when the breakup happened and told me all about it. And I listened to her, I consoled her as a friend, and then I had to put my producer hat on. And I said, Charisse, you know that we need to film this, right? And she was like, ugh. She was so upset. I mean, she was emotional. It sucked. And she just said, I do. I know that we have to get it because he had been a part of the story, her boyfriend at the time. And so we needed to show what had happened. And so she asked us, she said, can we have a closed set? She asked me as a friend and as a producer, can we have a closed set? Can we just have one cameraman, one audio? And I said, sure. And that's what I agreed to. And that's how we did it. And that's how you kind of balance it. I mean, I knew all sorts of stuff that was going on, and you got to just kind of choose when you're going to bring it up. But they always knew that I was one of the producers of the show, and they confided in me about a lot of things. And we showed a lot on that show. We showed a lot. We showed even the scene that you were in with Athena. That was a lot. That was a rough day for Athena.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a hard time, but we had to show that because that's what the journey was. I mean, I know a lot of reality shows are scripted, and you definitely have to follow a storyline so that it makes sense as characters build as you go along. But that show was not scripted. We didn't tell people what to say. The things that came out of their mouths came out of their mouths. And I told them always, whatever you bring that day, whoever you decide to be that day is who we're going to show. So just know that. And they did some crazy shit. I love those women so much, so much. We
Yeah,
had
yeah.
such a ball.
It was and you mentioned the episode that I happen to be a part of with my affiliation with Rocket Drum Works, and being a friend of both Ricky and Athena. And she was going through a tough time, and none of that stuff's ever easy, especially when it's kind of happening on TV. And you try to find a way to dull your senses and just kind of plow through it. Did you ever get any pushback from the exes, the rock stars, if you will, about content or stuff off the table, personal things, stories that maybe they didn't want revealed?
No, actually, everything went pretty smoothly. The only things that did happen was, Vince wouldn't allow us to use footage from the Motley Crue videos. Like we weren't granted permission. We weren't granted permission to use music, which is understandable.
Sure.
I mean, typically reality shows have a way of, they have a recording house that they might release a song that sounds like cherry pie, but it's not
Yeah.
really cherry pie, that you kind of can feel that it's cherry pie. So we just did that. But yeah, he wouldn't let us use some of those things. And then I really wanted him to be on the show. I really wanted that. And that didn't happen. And I don't know if that was really Vince or if it was his manager or agent at the time. I don't really know. But no, we really didn't get any pushback from them, which is really interesting. Maybe they felt that we were under the radar. Maybe they didn't think anybody was watching, but people were watching. We had
Yeah.
three seasons, 54 episodes, and I'm really proud of that show. Thank you.
That's a lot.
That was a
That's a lot.
blast.
Are you friends still with everybody and still communicate and still together?
I don't really talk to Blue much. She's kind of fallen off the face of the earth, I think. I don't really know what she's doing. I have really great memories of Blue, and the zaniness that she brought was outstanding, next level. I mean, she was zany, funny, charming, all the stuff. Yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, we all thought that she just had all of this money and just kept buying new houses and this and that. And then we found out later that she was leasing them. I mean, but she played the part so well that we had no idea. I mean, she was fabulous on the show. I am really good friends with Athena. She just messaged me last week. She messaged me um, about the changes that have gone on recently and wanted to make sure I was okay. And that was great. I'm really close with Athena, and I'm super hella close with Charisse. I mean, we're two peas in a pod. If you look at my Instagram today, there's a photo of the two of us together at the gym yesterday. Bobby, I haven't talked to in a couple of years, but I know if I was in a room with her and we hung out, it would just be like yesterday. Really good memories with those girls. I love them dearly. We had so much fun. So much fun.
That's amazing. For those listening at Dirty Radio Classics on this, that, and the other radio show, my guest is Lorraine Lewis, former singer of Vixen, TV guru. I'm learning so much more about your behind the scenes than I ever knew. And then, of course, from Femme Fatale. You had mentioned we're going to do a little bit of a who wore it better. So, here's the cherry pie, right, outfit. And sure enough, I grabbed a screenshot from the video, and there it is. Who wore it better? That's all. Yeah. That's that. What year is this? Falling in and Out of Love.
That's 1988.
And Cherry Pie was
a couple years later.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same outfit.
I know. I told you. And you can Google the years that they came out. They might have even come out the same year. I mean, I don't know, but I do know my video dropped before that video. Hands down, we filmed it before. And, I mean, mine was a little bit cooler because I had the backstage pass on it.
There you go. I did a little. Go ahead.
I'm flattered. I'm flattered that they thought that my sense of style was that cool.
Yeah, no, I was a fan of Femme Fatale back in the day, and I, just doing a little bit of research, sometimes you can dive too deep and there's just too many questions. And I know, you've been in the industry for a long time, done a lot of these interviews, and I'm sure there's a lot of better people out there to do the research and really get into the Wikipedia of Lorraine Lewis. I'm not that guy. I kind of like to be able to just shoot the shit and let the conversation go where it goes. But I was unaware that you guys had a second album, at least demoed for MCA. And then, the wheels fell off the bus. And, but you guys ended up releasing that album, and it was the OGs that recorded it. Then you repurposed it, put it out some years later. And then you assembled a band of all girls, which I thought was pretty cool, especially since you ended up, also in Vixen. Talk about that second album that never came out and why it didn't come out. And was it difficult to get, the recordings of it, and how did you repurpose it for a new release?
Yeah, well, basically what happened is I had been carrying around this CD with all the songs on it for effing decades. That's how it happened. I had this CD with me in a book, and I'm like, moving from, here to there, from Philly to back to LA, like doing all this stuff. And I was contacted by F&A Records and asked me if I had any music to release. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I've got this second Femme Fatale album. I mean, it was never intended to be an album or a release. These were demos. These were demos for the second record, the second Femme Fatale record, that was supposed to be on MCA. And MCA, when they heard the music, they said, go back to the drawing board. We don't hear it, da 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 da. And then, 6 months later, we got dropped. So I've just been carrying that around with me. But there were some pretty good songs on there. I mean, I co-wrote a song called One More for the Road with Jack Conrad, who's written a lot of stuff for Heart, and various other artists. I even want to say Autograph. So that song is really great. Another song called Lady in Waiting is really good. And Piece of My Heart, the Janis Joplin song, is on there. I did a remake of that. So there was some pretty cool stuff in there. Some of it was definitely out there, but a lot of it was really cool. So I was just carrying it around for a long time. And when F&A Records said, you want to release it? I said, sure, let's do it. And we did. And that's basically, it came out several years ago. And it's an indie label, and the marketing was great. F&A is great to work with. They really listen to me as an artist and the artwork and all of those things, which I think are important to fans. They want something that they can really dig into. And so we made sure that it looked cool and that there was a lot of verbiage and interesting stories about how that all was put together. We recorded that with Toby Wright.
Oh,
Toby
wow.
Wright. Yeah, Toby Wright's from Albuquerque, New Mexico, like me.
You're
And
from,
so
right? Yeah.
yeah, I've known Toby for a really long time. And so he's the one that actually even recorded that with us. And I remember the snake in the room, from the control room to the room we were in and all that. And I feel like the day that we recorded, I remember Ricky Rocket dropping me off at the studio because we were dating back then, and I needed to get to the studio to record, these songs that we were going to submit to MCA. And I remember, pulling up on his Harley and him dropping me off and kissing me goodbye, and and I went to the studio and laid that stuff down. So
It sounds like a rock video.
it does, and it is, and it's my life, and it's been amazing, and I've never told anybody that before, ever. So
Well, and that's what we do on this, that, and the other. I don't know what happens. I just kind of like how you pull stuff out of people. I don't know. I think you're I'm not going to give myself that much credit, but we're here on the radio here, Dirty Radio Classics, as well as live streaming, simulcasting here at YouTube with Lorraine Lewis, talking a little Femme Fatale. We're going to get into some of the Vixen stuff. We talked about casting. When everything kind of imploded at MCA, were you guys at some point, were you let go before that, or were you sort of the fallout? Because the label was called the Musicians Cemetery Association or of America, whatever, because they made their run at rock and roll. And I don't know much about the story, but I know that they got a lot of bands. They had Pretty Boy Floyd, Kill for Thrills, Gilby Clarke was on there, Femme Fatale, of course, a lot of other bands that you can probably name. And what do you think happened? Why do you think they failed? Which, unfortunately, the bands became the byproduct of the failure and failed themselves. What happened there? They didn't know what they were doing?
I feel they just weren't ready to rock and roll, I think. I don't think that they really knew what to do. We were always told that we were going to be their big breakout rock act, and they put a lot of money and eggs in the basket for us. And we did well as far as a baby band and the plans. I mean, they had plans to have me modeling in magazines. And I mean, I remember they had it all like a stack of paperwork, what the plans were for Femme Fatale. It was a big plan. And I think that, it just little by little, it just wasn't happening the way that they imagined it happening. And I think that they really needed to dig their heels in even more and stick with it and know that this shit doesn't happen overnight necessarily, especially back then, a female in rock and roll, right? Like, I think that they just needed to stick in longer. And at that point, maybe the money ran out. Maybe they just didn't want to keep putting money into artists. And then the shift kind of happened when Pretty Boy Floyd came on board. It was Bret Hartman's band. And I've told this story before, and I don't mind telling it again because it's honest. We thought that we were going to get on the second leg of the Cheap Trick tour. We were planning to. They wanted us to be on the second leg of the tour, and MCA pulled support, and they said no, we're going to put them back in the studio. And in hindsight, a couple of things needed to happen. They needed to keep us out on the road because that's where we were winning people over. And we were a different band live than we were on the record. We recorded the album without having toured as a band. Once we were out on tour and we gelled as a band and we could read each other, we just took things to another level. We were unstoppable. Any band that goes out and grinds their teeth, live shows, they just get better and better and better. And that's what happened to us. And they wanted us in the studio. I think, should have just been out on the road for another, 3 to 6 months, then put us in the studio. And then I think that we could have had a little bit more success. I also think that we made not a great move by not releasing The Ballad as the second single. We released Waiting for the Big One first. And the label did come to me. I was kind of the leader of the band. And I remember having meetings with Howard Kaufman, who was my manager, and Irving Azoff.
These are big people. Big people.
Yes, I mean, you know, I mean, my life has been amazing. I've been in some rooms with some amazing heavyweights, Gerald Busby, I mean, all of them, so amazing. And they came to me and asked me what I wanted to do. They said, we feel that we should release the ballad. And I had been talking to the band, and I felt pressure to please the band. This is for reals. Um, I felt like they were so sick of me being the front person or the focal point, because I get so much attention and I demand attention. And and the bass player is my brother. So I did feel pressure in a sense to do my best to keep them happy. And they really wanted us to release another rockin' song instead of the ballad. And so when they asked me what I wanted to do, I went with what the band wanted to do as a whole, which was they wanted to release Fallen In and Out of Love. I, in my heart, wanted to release the ballad, but I didn't. I went with the consensus, the majority of what the band wanted to do. And that probably was not the best decision.
Interesting. I mean, do you think, because what's the time frame that this is all going on? Like what year? 1980?
1988, 89. Yeah.
So would that have been the time? Because obviously, you know, everybody had that, you know, everybody had a cherry pie kind of song, you know, that kind of kitschy tune. And then obviously in that day and age, the ballads were huge. And so did you guys ever get to the ballad, or did it not happen?
No, no, it was over. And that was kind of the formula of success back then.
Right.
You released the rockin' song to show the hotness of the band and the hair flying and all the stuff, arena band, and then you release the ballad and you do the black and white video and the tour bus and all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Home sweet home,
Wh-
you know.
Yeah, I wanted that so bad. I still want that. I haven't gotten that yet. Damn it. I want that video.
Do
So,
you communicate with the guys still? I mean, you
well,
know, your brother, but I mean, what about the other guy? I know it's been a long time, but
Well, okay, so a couple things. I was married to the keyboard player, but I divorced him before we got the record deal.
how
You
did that?
know,
I mean, what were rehearsals like? So is he in the band and you guys are
yeah, we
divorced?
toured. We were
Wow.
divorced. Yeah,
And I mean, how was that? Was that all right?
it was all right for me. I don't I don't think it was all right for him.
You're a heartbreaker.
I am a heartbreaker, and I'm just, I'm coming clean today. I mean, look,
Yeah.
he was a sweetheart, a real sweetheart. But I've had a vision of what I've wanted to do with my life and live it for me. And yeah, no, I definitely probably, I know I broke his heart for sure. And he's a good guy, and but he's remarried. He's married to an opera singer. He has a Fortune 500 company. I mean,
Wow.
he's a genius. He's really smart. I haven't talked to him in years,
Yeah.
years and years and years. Um, Bill D'Angelo, the guitar player, passed away about 8 years ago,
Mm.
which is why I put the Femme Fatale, or the female version of Femme Fatale, together for the Monsters of Rock cruise, because Billy had passed away. I didn't want to get a bunch of different guys in. I don't know. I just thought, let's do an all girl thing. So,
Yeah, well, let
and
me ask you. Let me ask you about that, though. I mean, instead of putting together, maybe the other guys weren't interested any longer. You know, they've moved on, and that happens. You know, after decades. But you know, it seems like it's a focused move to go. Hey, you know, I'm going to get all girls in that band. I mean, right? I mean, is that sort of a premeditated? I think it's
yeah,
great. I dig it because and everybody that you had with you, you know, Nita Strauss was in the band, Thena was there. You know, girls from the Iron Maidens. You know, so you got some great players.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But why go that route instead of just getting some of your, you know, your friends, male or female, to put that band together?
It didn't feel right
Hmm.
with Billy not there. It felt weird. It didn't feel right. It's like, okay, I know that Bobby, the drummer, would have joined immediately. I know my brother would have been in immediately. I just wanted a certain, it goes back to 1988. I had a vision. I had a certain look I wanted. I wanted sexy, hot guys back in 1988. And I wanted to keep with that. And with Billy being gone, I just thought, how do I keep it sexy? And that just, means we go all female. Like, why not? And I got the best players in LA, female.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I mean, I picked the greatest people at that time on the LA scene. But yeah, I didn't feel good about replacing Bill. I just didn't, it felt weird. I just
Yeah,
didn't
so
like it.
you just wanted to do something entirely new, and
Entirely different. So
yeah, no,
nobody
that's
can
cool.
prejudge it. Nobody can say, oh, he's not as good as Bill or Bill was better. I just didn't want any of that. I just, let's do it fresh. Yeah.
And have you, or do you intend on doing any more stuff with Femme Fatale now that the calendar's kind of opened up a little bit? And maybe in some aspect, maybe not. We're going to get to all that because my guest here is Lorraine Lewis, who recently left the band Vixen, and we're looking in the rearview mirror for just a little bit, but we'll be turning around and facing the windshield to see what the open road has for her on this, that, and the other radio. Do you see yourself doing a Femme Fatale down the road?
Well, I'll tell you, I've had so many people reach out when everything went down and said, please put Femme Fatale together. Are you going to put Femme Fatale together? I don't really have an answer right now. What
Mhm.
I will say is that I am always and will forever be Femme Fatale. I mean, that's who I was, 5 years ago when I joined the band, and that's who I always am going to be. I mean, I'm the original, and that is my moniker, and that's who I've always been. I think it would be kind of effing awesome to have this crazy journey of my life that I put this band together back in, 1987, got a record deal, all of the things, life things happen, and then we go full circle and here we go again. I mean, that'd be an amazing book, wouldn't it? So I don't know, maybe that is in the future. I can't really say, but what I will say is that I'm excited about working with some male energy again. Whether that be for my solo stuff, or if that is Femme Fatale, or if that's something entirely different. I mean, I am an artist. I am a songwriter. I mean, I've got my guitar right there on my couch and I try to play every day. And I have a few songs that I want to release under the name Lorraine Lewis and not Femme Fatale, that are ready to go. So I don't know exactly what the plan is as far as, is it going to be Femme Fatale? Is it just going to be Lorraine Lewis? It might be both. It might be something completely different, but I am excited to work with some male energy for a while. Recently I was in the studio with Lou Gramm. I don't know if you know that, but I've been recording with him, and I have to say it felt really cool and new and fresh to be around some male energy. I mean, I definitely miss the girls, but it felt good to be around some really strong male energy that are confident and know what they're doing, and to be the girl in the room, the only girl in the room. That
Yeah.
felt good.
Right on. No, that I was going to ask you about that. You've done some duets, and we spun earlier on the show the song
Save
we
me.
Save Me. Yeah, we did that, and then
Thank
we've
you.
got you did a compilation or a song, Sweet Sienna, with George Lynch, Jack Russell, John Corabi. So you've done some of these duets and collaborations. Tell me about Lou Gramm, because I did see on your socials that you were going and singing in the studio. What's going on there?
Fabulousness, right? I mean, pinch me.
He's an
Lou,
OG.
Lou fucking Graham, man.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, we've had a set time to talk every Wednesday at 1:30 for the last, I want to say, 12 to 13 weeks before we went into the studio. This is not something that just happened on a whim or overnight. We've really planned this out and talked about what we wanted to do together. And so, yeah, we've been in the studio. I mean, the plan is to record 3 songs together. We have one vocally done and in the can. I'm waiting for comps. And then there's much music to do and all sorts of stuff. So I don't have a time frame of when it's going to be released at the moment, but working with him has just been, it's a highlight of my career for sure. Like hands down, Lou Gramm. Being in the studio with him, we had the plans to be in the studio. We were at Scott Gilman's studio. Scott is his saxophone player. They played in Laughlin, Nevada, and then the plan was, we're going to come out and we're going to record at Scott's studio. And I mean, I knew it was happening because we've been planning this and emails back and forth and phone calls every week for many, many weeks. But there's always this like is this really happening? Are you really going to the studio with Lou Gramm? And I didn't tell anybody, like nobody knew. My sister, I have some really great sisters, and they knew. One of them didn't really know who Lou Gramm was, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, yeah.
But but my other sister was like, "Oh my God!" And yeah, it was a pinch me moment for sure that I got to be in the studio with him. And sure enough, so they, I checked into the Westin Hotel in Pasadena, and I went into the studio, and sure enough, they came walking in the door. Lou Gramm and Matt, his son, who manages him, and it was just all so fun and so cool. And I knew that when Lou was up for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, um, we had a phone call that week after it got announced, and I sang to him when he picked up the phone, and I sang to him with the background of uh, they say it's your birthday, the birthday song by the
Sure.
Beatles, and
Yeah.
it's like da 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 da, you're in the Hall of Fame, kind of a
Right.
thing. And he just laughed and laughed, and just he was so happy, and just it was so effing amazing, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, and I'm in
Yeah.
the studio with him, and I'm just like taking it all in. I had Bryn, my assistant, who's actually watching right now, I think.
Hey,
Hey,
Bryn. Bryn's
Bryn.
been very helpful. So everybody that I've dealt with that works around you and with you and for you have been super helpful. Great communication, and that doesn't always happen. I had no doubt that we'd be seeing your beautiful face on the screen today. So thank you to them.
Yeah. Nicole it handles a lot of PR, and Bryn is my new assistant. She's doing a great job. And I asked her, I said, please take a snapshot so I can see if I looked okay. I was like, you never know what you look like on these things. You just can never tell. So anyway,
Well,
so
you hit it out of the park, Lorraine. You
thank
look
you.
great.
All for you, Troy.
God
So,
bless you.
so she was with me with Lou Gramm. I asked her if she could come and bring her camera. She's a great photographer as well as a great assistant and PR person. And so I said, can you bring your camera and just be a fly on the wall? And she said, I can do that because Allie, Lou's social media girl, and we get along really great. She's really great. And she had asked me, she said, make sure you get some selfies with Lou. And I said, I will. I said, are you okay with me bringing in a photographer to just kind of be a fly on the wall? She said, hell yeah. So I brought Bryn in, and Bryn did a great job. She got all these shots and videos of us together, and we put a little reel together. Nicole actually put the reel together, and she captured the moment, which was really great. And some special moments of Lou just cracking up. There was a moment when Scott, the producer, he says, we're all sitting there in a kind of a huddle, and he looks at us and he says, you guys just saying that same line like 18 times. And Lou just cracks up, and he's just laughing in the chair, and he says, is that all? And we just all started laughing. It was just so much fun working with him. But I will tell you, there was a couple of moments when we first started the song together, and I can't tell you what song it is. We're doing cover songs. These aren't originals. These are
Okay.
covers. And we had sang together first, then he went into the booth to sing alone, and I'm in the control room with Scott. And there was a moment when he's singing, and I'm just like sitting there taking it all in. And I just say to myself, that's the voice of Lou Gramm. Like chills, everything. And I thought to myself, his choice of notes, his choice of rhythm with that line, his choice of sound that he's producing was effing magic, like nothing I've ever experienced before. I mean, I got total chills. He made me a better singer that day.
And
And then
not to interrupt,
to
but I was going to ask you what, you've been in the studio with a lot of people and you've done these duets, collaborations, and I'm glad that you weighed in on what a Lou Gramm brings to the table that you go, okay, that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I love that you expanded on it, and I hate for interrupting you on that, but that's great, because what does a Lou Gramm bring that other people that you've dealt with don't,
the voice, the tone, the quality, the richness, the vibe, I mean, every beautiful adjective you can think of. I mean, the song has that we did, it's been recorded by other people. It's never been recorded as a duet.
Okay.
And people have done their version of the song and stayed kind of in the lines. He doesn't stay in the lines. He just does what he does. And this growl and this Lou Gramm quality sound that comes out of him. And like I say, the placement, the choice of rhythm, the choice of placement, it allowed me to feel really free and not stay in the lines.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point, his son, because I'm a girl still, right? So I'm sitting there, we're like talking, and his son is saying how amazing it sounds. Well, first let me backtrack. I eventually go in and lay down my stuff. I come out of the booth and I come into the control room, and Lou looks up at me and says, "You sound amazing. You sound so good." And I mean, I can still see him in my mind's eye looking at me saying that. And a little emotional.
I think I love it. It's awesome.
Um, to have Lou Gramm look up at you and say that you're a great singer is like nothing I've ever experienced before, because he's fucking amazing and he's a Hall of Famer. And if anybody knows, Lou Gramm knows, right? And I think that, I'm not always understood, I don't think, uh, um, and I think that Lou gets me, and he got me, and he gave it to me that day. So that moment was really, really special. Um, and he made me better. And he just gave me the freedom to just go for it and choose it the way I wanted to choose it. And then at one moment, that's when Matt looked up from the couch and he said, I actually looked at him because we were all talking about how good it sounded. And so I'm like a total girl. And I look over at Matt in my little cute thing. And I say, do we sound good together? And Matt says, "Yeah, you sound amazing." He said, "It's actually making me forget all of the other versions of this song I've ever heard." And that was amazing. So that's what the freedom was of Lou Gramm
Yeah.
working with Lou and just being able to do whatever I wanted to do, and us not staying in the lines and having it sound like everybody else's version. We have our own version, and I cannot wait till it's done and people can hear. It's really special.
Yeah. Real quickly though, how did this even come about? How did this even happen?
It happened because Sunday nights, I don't know if you know this, but I do Q&As every Sunday. I haven't done them for the last, I don't know, 5-6 weeks, but I just started doing them again. But I've been doing them for a while, every Sunday, about an hour or two. I let you ask me anything. It's Q&A, ask me anything. And then I've done some live Q&As also. And every once in a while, I would get asked the question, who would you want to sing with? Who, like, what rock star would you want to work with?
Yeah.
And I've always said, always from the very beginning, Lou Gramm is my number one, Paul Rogers, David Lee Roth. That's always been my top three. Are there other artists that I would work with? Absolutely, hands down. But if you're going to ask me who are my top three, those are my top three. I mean, there's no voice like Lou Gramm. He's amazing. There's no voice like Paul Rogers. And David Lee Roth, are you kidding me? I've wanted to be David Lee Roth since I was, first saw them in concert.
Right.
So that's the truth. So that's how it happened. And then one day, I mean, I would get asked that every couple of weeks, and I would always say the same answers. And then one day I get a message from Lou Gramm's Instagram. And I noticed that Lou Gramm's Instagram was hearting some things. And way back in the day when I did the Party Ninjas at the Santa Monica Civic, that was with Vince Neil and everybody raising awareness about kids that were lost or stolen, or,
Yep.
find the children.
Sure.
I did with Mark Ferrari and, I can't even remember who else, but we did Hot Blooded. I mean, I've been a fan for a very long time. And so I even did an edit and put that on Instagram, me on stage doing Hot Blooded. And long story short, I got a message from his camp and they were hearting all these things. Anytime I do something about Foreigner or anything from my past, that page would heart it. And then I got a message one day, and it was from a girl named Allie. She said, "Hey, I'm Allie. I run Lou's social media page. I'll pass on the message." I was like, "Pass on the message? What message?" It's like, "Oh, the message that, I love Lou Gramm and he's my
Yeah.
number one choice
Yeah.
and this and that." And then little by little, it turned into Lou would like to have a chat with you. Do you mind if I get your phone number and set up a conversation? I was like, what is happening? Like, what the hell is happening? And a part of me thought, is this bullshit? But I just said, of course we can talk. And that's how it started. And then sure enough, it was a Friday afternoon. The phone rings. It's fucking Lou Gramm. And I'm just like, "Hi, Mr. Graham. It is such an honor and
Yeah.
just an amazing honor to meet you. Thank you so much." And he said, "Let's do this." Basically, he said, "We're going to blow a lot of minds." And I said, "Let's do it." So he said, "You start putting a list together. I'll put a list together." And that's kind of how it started. We just kept going back and forth.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you guys are going to put out 3 songs. They're all covers. They're duets. And maybe we'll get a snippet of one before the year's up. Is that kind of the plan?
Gosh, I hope so. I hope so. I know that his focus right now is, he's got so many shows. I mean, I
Yeah.
know when we first were talking, he was saying how his schedule was so light. And I was saying mine's really light too. And so we were like, the reason it's light is because we're supposed to go into the studio and get this done. And it was perfect. And then he's gotten busier and busier. So his touring schedule is pretty intense right now. And I know that he's going to release the record. So I'm actually going to make a call to Scott tomorrow and check on the comps. I really can't wait to hear the comps. And then we'll go from there. But it's going to take some more time for sure. It's going to take some time. But I know that when it comes out, it is going to blow some minds for sure.
It's great. It's great. And it's great for you. And I just feel like you just kind of put that out in the universe and planted those seeds. And next thing you know, you're on the phone and you guys have put together a few songs, and then you're in the studio, and you guys didn't stay in your lanes. And I think that's great. And to see you get touched by that after being in the industry yourself for so many years, says a lot about you and the passion, and that's super rad. So what a great opportunity for you. Well deserved for sure. My
Thank
guest
you.
right now, for those listening on the radio here at Dirty Radio Classics on the This, That, and the Other radio show, my guest is Lorraine Lewis, former singer of Vixen, founding member of oh, you look great, and of Femme Fatale. And we've talked with you about This, That, and the Other. We got into the casting. I actually went and did some a little bit of production here. So this is kind of fun. There's the girls right there, ex-wives of rock, and you can
Love them.
I'll sign the episode that I was a part of. I don't know if I can do that. We showed the OG Femme Fatale right there. And then when you put the band together, we had the girls right there. Look at that. That's an army right there.
Dude. And every one of those babes has done amazing things. Amazing things. I mean, I was in the presence of goddesses for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's our guest here, Lorraine Lewis. This is Bryn sent this to me. Classic photo. Neil's Lowe's hours. Lowe's. I love Neil. What era is that from? Because this is going to be, or this was given to me as a photo to use for some promo today. And it looks like it's from back in the day. But when did you take that with Neil?
Yeah. Yeah, that's back in the day, 1988. That was a full-on day of just havoc, working with Neil. He's so great behind the camera and great as a friend. He actually called me a couple days ago to check on me. Very sweet man. Mm. But yeah, that was back in the day. That was doing all of the promo for Femme Fatale. And I saw a photo a few months back and I thought, I really need to go check out what he has. And about 3 years ago, he messaged me and he said, "I want to give you a photo, like free of charge, give you a photo." Like, we've known each other a long time. You've been in the business a long time. That photo session was a blast. He always will say too, and I'm going to quote him, you know, I always wanted to bone her. Every time I see Neil,
That's
that's what he
very
says to me.
that's very Neil. He's just off the
I
cuff.
always wanted to bone you. That's how he says it. So, so, um, so basically, he offered me a photo, and so I thought that was so sweet and so generous, and so I said I've got to come down and choose my photo. And then I went down to his studio, and you can't choose one photo. That photo session was rad. Oh my gosh. And so I ended up purchasing like, I want to say 12, and then he gave me one. So I've been releasing these on my website, and which is on hold right now because I'm revamping it. But I offer those 8x10s autographed through Instagram, and I mail them out and do all that stuff DIY. And yeah, I've got like some amazing about 12 photos that Neil did from back in the day, and they're classic. I mean, that look, I mean, I will never be that girl visually again, you know. I mean, that was a time and a place, and that's who I was back then. And so I love the vintage, the classicness of it and the vibe. And oh yeah, I love those photos. I mean, if I could buy a photo of, you know, Lita from that era, you know, that nobody had before, that no one had seen, I would want that, because that was a time, you know, that would just be hella cool. So I think that people really, the diehard fans love that stuff. That I know.
No, for sure. And as far as not being, you know, that you've done quite well for yourself in the looks department. You take care of yourself. You look great. You always show up, you know, ready for whatever you're doing. So don't even worry about that. And you know, that photo, think about that. That photo is all before filters. That's just some good lighting, a great cameraman, and a great subject. So, you know, that's before the day and age of, you know, all the filters that we have where, you know, you meet somebody in person, you go, who are you again? I don't, you don't look anything like that. But you know, your look has changed, but it's matured and developed, but you're still hot, and that's great. And you're still delivering music and doing wonderful things. You had mentioned, you know, you talk about Neil, and Neil's just, that's Neil. Hey, I wanted to bone you back in the day. Did you have to deal with any sort of like sexism and, you know, hey, I'll give you the, you know, the casting couch, so to speak, but in the music industry, how were you treated?
I've always been treated with respect. Maybe people snickered behind my back. Guys might have, you know, radio people, radio guys, radio execs thought that maybe they would bone me. But no, everybody's been very cool and respectful. I think that when you meet me, you, I'm a sweetheart and a teddy bear, but at the same time, you really can't get over on me, even though I may have not chosen the best relationships in my life. But I think that you just kind of know that you can't really fuck with me, and so you can try, but you know. And at the end of the day, I think that people know that I'm really a genuine person and a sweetheart, and
Yeah.
so I think that, you know, I just never really dealt with any of that. Like I say, they might have said that stuff behind my back, but nobody ever really tried to do anything like that. Howard Kaufman was always a gentleman with me, always great to me. I mean, there was one instance I remember that a friend of his, it was late night and we were at the office, and he had a friend that had come into town from back east, and the friend was kind of trying to get something going that I could tell. Like he was like, you know, aren't you so thankful to Howard for, you know, helping you get the record deal, and aren't you just so happy, and don't you want to thank him? Like he was leading up to
Yeah.
something. It was getting kind of weird, and it was just Howard and him and me in the office. And Howard and I looked at each other in a way of like a father to a daughter, and and he just looked at me and gave me a look like, don't worry, I know my friend is out of line, and we're good, everything's cool. And he kind of steered everything away and got it off that subject. And it was really hella cool. And nothing ever transpired or anything, and we never talked about it again. And that was kind of it. But that was just this one instance that it was insinuated that I maybe owed Howard something. And now was the time to pay up or something. And but it never happened, and it was fine. And like I say, he gave me that look like a father to a daughter,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like this guy, like I'm apologizing with you to through my eyes to you that my
Sure.
friend, this jackass, is being such a jackass. But yeah, but that's, other than that, no, just fun rock and roll, nothing weird ever, fans would try to grab me, but I expect that. It's rock and roll. I'm wearing bustiers. Let's have fun. I don't care. Even when we did Wacken Festival and I crowd surfed, I don't know if you know this, in front of with 60,000 people in
Yeah.
Germany last summer. Made the front page of the German newspaper, by the way. It's a great shot. I love it. But so many people asked me, they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you did that. And weren't you scared? And did people like grab your crotch and this and that?" And I was like, no, everybody was hella cool, and they just helped me, go through the crowd. And at the same time I said, but if they would have, like, so what? Like, it's rock and roll. Like, I'm in a crowd. I'm like, my body is there. Like, if a hand slips or grabs me or somebody tries to get a feel, like, whatever, it's, to me, rock and roll. And that's when I say, when you ask me TV or music, yes, rock and roll music all the way. Like, that's who I am. Like this, I'm not a prude, and I'm not afraid to jump into a crowd of 60,000 people and just go for it, because it is rock and roll. Right?
And there's proof of it right there. Look at that.
Oh, you're so good. Yeah. It
That's
was
amazing.
it was amazing. It was
Right
it was
on.
the best. Yeah.
Well, we've
Yeah.
hit on this, that, and the other here with Lorraine Lewis of Femme Fatale, and behind the scenes, you got casting and co-creating, all sorts of good stuff. One band we haven't gotten into yet, and we might as well get into it now. The band Vixen. This is the band there. This photo, by the way, they seem to, at their website, have cleansed themselves of Lorraine Lewis. However, their YouTube still shows your photo. And I'm a little confused. So you recently left the band at the end of May, right? Made the announcement, and have some questions about that. Here is the announcement, direct from your social media, and I'll leave it up there for a second. But you guys recently, about 9 months ago, released some of the first brand new material, if I understand correctly, with this lineup in many years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that release of that song, Red, sort of kind of gave us the idea that maybe an album is coming up, something new's coming up, a tour, and then here we go, just less than a year later, the sad announcement that you're parting ways. And it was one of those, kind of, irreconcilable. Well, it wasn't that. It was differences. I don't even know if it was musical differences, but tell me what happened, because I don't think any of us saw this coming.
Yeah, well, I want to say, first of all, that, for me, I've had the best time with Vixen. I've had the best time with that band. Touring last summer was amazing. We killed it. I know we killed it. I know that I did my job. I know that as a front person and as a singer, I brought it every show. I treated the band like it was my own. Not that it was, or not that I knew that it ever would be. I mean, Vixen is not my band. It's Roxy's band. Um, and I've known that forever. But I know that as the lead singer, I brought my brand of rock and roll, and she wanted me to be a part of the band, 5 years ago, and so I was happy and honored to be carrying on the legacy of Vixen, for sure. I was really thrilled about that, and I've had the best time, and I miss the girls a lot. I will say, it's always, though, been more about the fans for me. It's about belly to belly with the people. I mean, the fact that people show up to these 80s rock shows and love the music still, and young people that weren't born back in the day, are showing up to these shows and love the music. I mean, that's where I'm at with with my love for the business. It's all about the fans and the friends that show up to these shows, because without them, we are zero. Without them, we are nothing. And I really mean that, and I know it to the core. So what I will say about the situation, and I do want people to know that I didn't quit the band. A lot of people think that I quit, and the announcement that I made, it seemed to suggest to me that you could tell that it was not my decision to leave. I mean, that's how I thought that I worded it. And I have a cabinet of people around me, and we really fine tuned it. And I wanted to make sure that I wanted the fans to know how important they are to me, and how much I love them, and how much fun I've had. And also, don't count me out. I am not going anywhere. I might not be in this band right now, but there is more to come from me. I was Lorraine Lewis before that band, and I am still Lorraine Lewis, and I will always be. And music is in my soul and in my gut and in my heart. And there's more to come. And so I wanted people to know, though, that the band was moving in a different direction. And that's how I was presented with the change. I was told that the band was moving in a different direction, and I was not going to be, was not going to be the singer anymore. And that's really it. And it's just important for me to let everybody know, the fans, this isn't about them or me or us or musicians or anything. It's about the fans. And I just want, these people that have messaged me and asked me, why did you quit? I just want to say, I didn't quit. I didn't leave you. I didn't quit. It was not my decision. And that's really all there is to say about that.
Yeah, no, understood. And if you can lean in or not, 5 years is a long time to be a part of something. And I would think, you fronting Femme Fatale and Vixen, you guys probably know each other because of, females in rock and roll, so, you all, lead a forward, you all kind of stick together, maybe in some way. There's got to be a camaraderie there. But after 5 years of being a part of something, just 9 months ago, releasing a brand new single with a video, do they give you a reason as to why they're going into a different direction? Because it seems like there's a lot invested, especially crafting a new song, doing a new video, and then just saying, well, hey, by the way, we're going to go another direction. Is there something that happened, or did you get a reason?
No, it's really, when I say that they were going in another direction, that's what I was told. What it meant was, we're moving in a different direction away from you.
How do you receive that? Because listen, I've been, and I'm not saying, but I'm saying I've been fired from bands before, and you go, wait, what? I thought everything was good, or why? There's a reason, a specific reason. How do you interpret this if you weren't given a reason?
We were killing it. That's all I know. We were killing it. I was ready to kill it this summer, ready to kill it next year, ready to kill it the year after that, ready to kill it. Do what I always do, rock the house, bring it. My voice is in shape. I'm ready to go. My body's in shape. I'm a machine. Like,
I
I'm
don't think
ready.
there's any doubt that the performance was lacking. I don't think anybody's going, well, yeah, I mean, there are singers out there that are at the end of, their career, because of age or physical, whatever. I don't think anybody for a second goes, well, yeah, Lorraine's been kind of slacking lately. I don't think one person is thinking that. I think everybody's going, what happened? Because there's no real obvious incident that I could see. But yeah, it's interesting. Do you get a phone call from, say, Roxy, or does her person call you? I mean, is it that cold? you know, does she call you personally?
I haven't talked to Roxy in a couple months. I haven't talked to them in a while. But
Okay.
I will say, I miss the girls. I love them. I love them dearly. We've had a blast. We've kicked ass together. And yeah, you know that emoji where it's like this, like
Yeah. Yeah.
that. That's all I can say about it. I was ready to go out on tour. I mean, I have new outfits for God's sakes.
Was there going to be any more material after Red? Was that just a single? Like, hey, let's put out something with this lineup. You guys got the new bass player, and let's put something out. It was the
I
idea
was
that
hoping. I was
yeah.
hoping. I was hoping. I was hoping that was just the beginning. Yeah, I really thought it was just the beginning of what we were planning to do.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is it was a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what are other ways of saying surprise? Shocked. Um, Bummer
Yeah.
City.
And
You
Boozled.
know.
Yeah, I just think, and I'm not going to criticize how anybody does their business. They do business how they do it. I just think, after, and this just tells you, kids, stay in school. This is the business, that 5 years of friendship, camaraderie, and then, it's like, oh yeah, I left the band, so many months ago, and I haven't spoken to the band leader since before that, So it kind of, I mean, unless my math is wrong, I feel like you didn't hear from her directly. Somebody else told you.
Well, let me just say this. Mitch Schneider, you know who he is. Mitch was my PR person back in the day from MSO Publicity.
Okay.
And, we talked after everything went down, and he said to me, Lorraine, rock and roll is not warm and fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. And I said, you're so right. It just isn't. And that's really all I can want to say about that. I mean, it isn't. It's not warm and fuzzy. I have great, amazing memories, badass memories for sure. But yeah, it ain't over.
There's a memory right there for you. That I mean
Yeah.
that's the cover of the next album. Listen, Lorraine, again, it's one of those things. You planted the seeds, and now you've got some music coming out with Lou Gramm. This just opens up an opportunity for you to do something else
A
that maybe
thousand percent. A
you
thousand
weren't even
percent.
sure you
Look,
would. Yeah.
I've always been the person that says, the universe has my back. The universe has your back. Like this is all just fun. Life is meant to be fun. It's a journey. There's no end to what's next. And so this, I feel like, is not really a test, but it's to also show people, like, put your money where your mouth is. Like I always say to people, you never know what's around the corner. You never know what's happening next. And this is just going to be the next chapter of what I'm going to do. That band is a chapter in my big, amazing, wonderful roller coaster of a ride. And it's just one short little segment. But my life has been full and fruitful in all sorts of different ways with friends and family. And there is more to come. There is more TV. There is more rock and roll. There is more music. There are more duets that are going to surprise people. There is so much more. Yeah, it's good. Like it's all good. I always believe that everything is always working out for me. And in the big picture, yes, I've had a great time. I miss them, and we move on. We pivot to the left. We pivot to the right. Life goes on, and I'm going to keep rocking and rolling and kicking ass, and it's all good. I have nothing but love, honestly.
And just so you know, no, and that's great, and that's the right attitude to have about it, because pissing and moaning about it's not going to change anything, and you just persevere, and you do. And like I said, this just opens up an opportunity for you to do something else that maybe you're not even aware you're going to do. And now you have that opportunity and that desire. And by the way, I know the girls are watching this right now, and so they heard you loud and clear. And I know Roxy's watching this because we're live here on This, That, and the Other radio show, Dirty Radio Classics. Roxy, call your friend. Just call your friend. It's all good. Life is too short. We're getting older. I just got older a couple days ago. I can hardly, my back hurts. It's like, call your friend, Roxy.
You're so funny. Roxy's Roxy. Roxy's all rock and roll. And I know that she's very busy with Madam X and this and that and the other thing.
Blah, blah, blah. Call your
But
friend, Roxy.
it's all good. I mean, I have nothing but love for everybody, and I've had the most amazing experience, and watch what I do next.
we're all going to be watching. You had mentioned that your website's kind of undergoing a facelift, but are you LorraineLewisRocks.co? Is that you?
Yes, that is me.
Gotcha.
.co.
Okay. Awesome. So not .com, but .co.
Yeah, I did an amazing photo session with Glenn LaFerman, and it all the most amazing outfits and fun. And so yeah, the website is going to be revamped in a whole new look and a whole new vibe and everything. So yeah, I'm excited about it. But you know, this stuff takes time. So, you know, and I've got a jobby job.
That's awesome. I'm just going to put this up here. Yeah, I don't have my producer here, so I'm producing everything else. We're going to just do this guy here so everybody can see where to find you. Lorraine, it's been an honor and a pleasure for you coming on this show. I appreciate you saving the interview for me because, you know, a lot of people wanted to know what's going on. You know, there's a lot of websites posting updates about you leaving, about their new singer. By the way, have you seen any? I mean, do you go like, hey, let me, you know, they just had it. You don't go, you're not curious because I've been replacing some bands and I go, you know, I want to see what the new guy's doing. And then I go, oh, he's pretty good. You don't check out the new singer and see how she's doing?
No, I really don't. And people might find that hard to believe, but I don't need to. And I'm not interested. I mean, I'm busy. I'm just not, I'm really not curious. I mean, when it was over, it's over. I mean, ask my exes.
You are a heart. You've broken a lot of hearts.
That's all I can say. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, I hate to say it, but I know a lot of people remain friendly with their exes, and no, when you're done or I'm done, like we're done. I get a new fragrance, I get a new perfume.
Okay.
I mean, I actually did a story about that on my Instagram. Like I've been doing it since college. You know, whenever I would break up with a guy, it's like I get rid of that perfume and we get a new perfume. And so I was wearing Scandal by Jean-Paul Gaultier, and now I'm wearing Divine by Jean-Paul Gaultier.
There you go. Oh my goodness.
I'm cracked up. I know. I'm a funny chick.
Lorraine, you're great. And I'm a huge fan. I've been a fan of you since back in the day. And to have you come into my life on my radio show, this, that, and the other radio show, it's awesome. And I really appreciate you coming on. And
I appreciate you wanting me to be on. You're married, right?
I am. Yes. Yes.
She's a lucky girl. She's a lucky girl.
I'm a lucky girl too. I got very, very fortunate. I'm married to a great wife, and she's a badass like yourself. And you know, but listen, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate you being candid and saying how it is. And that's what we do on the show. We kind of peel the onion a little bit. And thanks for being so open and honest and fun with me. And you and your camp also were so great through this. And I hope to see you in person very soon. I can't wait to hear what you're doing with Lou Gramm. You can see it right there, LorraineLewisRocks.co. And of course, all of your socials. And you're very active on social media. I was able to reach out to you, get a response, and set this up a few weeks ago. So I appreciate it. And I wish you all the best.
I love the people, man. I love the people, belly to belly, and you're one of us. So yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Troy. It's been an honor, pleasure. Thank you. Good night.
You have a great night. I will boot you out of here. Take care. And again, all the best to you, and thanks.
Thanks. I'll be in touch soon. Take care. Bye.
Lorraine Lewis, former singer from, I'm kicking her out, former singer from the band Vixen, and we got into it. She said what happened. If I have digested this properly, she did not get a phone call from Roxy herself. That's how I'm reading into it. Maybe I need to go back and listen to it. By the way, if you missed any or all of the interview with Lorraine Lewis, Femme Fatale, vocalist, and now you know, solo artist. She's going to go out. I mean, she's a singer. She's her own brand, and when she becomes a part of something, she brings an army of talent and attitude with her. And you know, Vixen has moved on from her. It sounds like to me, you know, she got unceremoniously sacked from the band. It's always weird going in a different direction. What do you mean? So I think this interview will spawn a response from Roxy and camp as to really what happened. I don't know. We'll see. But fascinating stuff here on This, That, and the Other radio show. I am still on YouTube, But I'm going to boot myself out. We are going to continue on the radio show. We got about another 40 minutes here. This, That, and the Other radio show, dirtyradio.fm, Dirty Radio Classics. I'm going to pay some bills and keep rocking. I'll see if we have any requests on the request line at 747-236-3456. For those that tuned in on the YouTube, thank you so much. For those that listened on the air, as you do week in and week out, I appreciate it. This show replays on Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we'll be back live. Actually, next Wednesday, we might have a new show, but I am not live. I am on tour. I'll get into all the dates coming up. But anyway, I'm going to boot myself here from the YouTube, and we're going to get on out of here. We continue at dirtyradio.fm, channel 2, Dirty Radio Classics. So if you want to hear some rock and roll, you can tune in over there, dirtyradio.fm. All right. Hey, signing off at YouTube. If you want to continue to listen to the show, it is dirtyradio.fm, and then click the cassette for Dirty Radio Classics. Or if you want to, you can go to drummertroy.com, and there is a player there. Okay. Adios. I'm out of here. I wish you all the best, Lorraine Lewis, and thanks for coming on this show, kicking ass and taking names. I'll be back with some more music here. Dirty Radio Classics coming up. Adios.